What we did in the last class, we find that whenever a motion is taking place with velocity or with center of mass moving, that means it is a translational motion, and because it is changing its orientation, so it is rotational motion. So we found the motion, whether we get displacement, whether we get velocity of a particular point, or whether we get a distance traveled by a particular point, or whether we get the kinetic energy of the entire system. We got by superimposition of two things. One is what is contribution of translational motion plus what is contribution of rotational motion. So there is a two-step process. We have two unknowns, one is VCM and one is omega. In terms of these two, we found kinetic energy, we found speed, we found acceleration, all the things. But now suppose the question is not like that. Every translational and rotational motion combined, that seems, has other view of seeing it. You can see the same thing in different perspective when it is purely rotational motion. How? Let us see. So we have seen that in the case of this disk, this is a velocity VCM, angular speed is omega, where omega is suppose VCM by R. So it has a translational motion VCM and it has a rotational motion angular velocity VCM by R. Now if I superimpose the two, suppose I want to get velocity or something, I have seen it. What we have seen that? We have seen that this velocity becomes 2 VCM, this velocity becomes 2 VCM, VCM plus omega R, this velocity becomes 0, VCM forward, omega R backward, and omega R is equal to VCM, this becomes 0. This velocity we have got by superimposition of two motion, one is VCM right and one is omega R, that means VCM down. So that speed would become equal to root 2 VCM here we have got speed as, again we have superimposed two velocities here, one is VCM here right and omega into R, means VCM up, VCM right, VCM up tangentially. So net effect would be under root VCM, root 2 VCM at an angle of 45 degree. This point would have speed VCM. We have VCM plus 0. We have got it. That means we can assume that this is the axis, pure axis of rotation. I can say that this motion is actually purely rotational motion. I can assume that this motion is purely rotational motion about this axis of rotation. I can say this is the bottommost point. The bottommost point is the pure axis of rotation. This sketch pen is the pure axis of rotation. So this axis is the pure axis of rotation. Pure axis of rotation. If I take this as pure axis of rotation, call it instantaneous axis of rotation. Call this point as point A. If I do not take VCM and superimpose it with omega R, if I do not take rotational motion about center of mass, see, if I am taking rotational motion about center of mass axis, I have to take VCM as this superimposed, because I have a habit of seeing at center of mass. But actually this motion is purely rotational motion about this. I would get the same answer, same velocities with single step. How single step? Because once this is pure axis of rotation, this point would be at rest. Why? Any point on the axis of rotation is at rest. So this point is at rest. This point is at a distance of root 2 R. So speed of this point would be root 2 R into omega. Root 2 R into, because from the axis of rotation, from pure axis of rotation in purely rotational motion, the velocity of any point is equal to omega times of distance of that point. This would be omega times of distance of that point from the origin, from this axis, and direction is perpendicular to this radius vector. So this is root 2 R, and what is the speed of this? The speed of the velocity of center of mass would be from this axis of rotation, center of mass is at a distance of R. So this speed would be omega into r, perpendicular to r. Call it VCM. Name it VCM. This is the velocity of center of mass. In terms of this VCM, I can write this distance, the topmost point is at a distance of 2r. From here, the distance of the topmost point is 2r. So this speed would become directly equal to omega into 2r. Means 2 VCM. Speed of this point would become directly equal to omega into root 2r. Root 2 VCM, perpendicular to this. Speed of any point at a distance x from here. Speed of any point at a distance x from this point of rest, instantaneous axis of rotation. Speed of any point at a distance x from here would be equal to, in one step you can get, velocity would be equal to omega into x. Velocity would be equal to omega into x, and direction would be perpendicular to this radius vector. You can obtain it in two ways. One, directly from this axis. If you know the pure axis of rotation, you can directly get in one step. And if you do not know this, then you would get the same by vector imposition of two components. One is VCM, right? So to get the speed of this point P, you have two methods. First is get VCM right. You know VCM right. Get omega into, from here, if distance is y, omega into y, circular. Take their vector, sum, you would get the same value. But here you are getting in one step. First thing. Second thing, suppose I want to know its kinetic energy. I would take kinetic energy is equal to, half m VCM square, purely translational, plus half ICM omega square, purely rotational. That means half m, what is VCM? Omega r, plus half ICM omega square. That would become equal to half m ICM plus mr square, ICM plus mr square, see, into omega square. I am taking omega square common. What is ICM plus mr square? What is ICM plus mr square? That is moment of inertia about axis of half into moment of inertia about axis A into omega square. So if in place of taking moment of inertia about center of mass axis, if I am taking moment of inertia about center of mass axis, I have to have the addition of two components. But if I am taking moment of inertia about the instantaneous axis of rotation, I have only one component. This is purely rotational motion, half I about A into omega square. So that becomes useful. This is single step process. So every translational and rotational motion that seems is actually purely rotational motion about some axis. Understand? This is, take like this. This is rotating like this. This is rotating like this. This is the fixed axis. And this rod is rotating like this. Now you can understand, this is rotational motion. If this point is fixed, this is purely rotational motion about this axis. Because why it is purely rotational motion about this axis? Because this axis is at rest. So you can understand, this is purely rotational motion about this axis. So this is the purely rotational motion about the topmost point axis. Now understand why it is purely rotational motion about this axis, because this point is at rest. Now suppose if I see the center of mass of this, I do not see this point. If I see this point, I come to know that this is purely rotational motion. Why? Because this point is at rest. If I see this point, I come to know that this is a purely rotational motion. Why? Because this point is at rest. But suppose I have been, this is not allowed to see. This is covered by some curtain. I cannot see this point. So I am seeing rest of the rod. So I am seeing that center mass is at rest or not? No, center mass is moving. So I would say no, it has translational motion because center mass is not at rest. Second, is the orientation changing? Yes. So that is rotational motion. So I would say this is combined translation and rotational motion. So when I see center of mass, then if center of mass is not at rest, I conclude this is translational motion. And then I say because orientation is changing, so it is rotational motion. But same motion is purely rotational motion about this axis. Actual motion is same. So how to get and how to solve questions easily using, so in all the cases of combined motion, we are going to convert it into purely rotational motion. Any combined motion, any combined translation and rotational motion is always and always purely rotational motion about some axis. That axis is called instantaneous axis of rotation, and if you can get to that, you can easily solve question. I am telling you, first my statement would be every combined motion, every combined translational and rotational motion is purely rotational about some axis called IAOR, and you can solve once you have a purely rotational motion. Only one quantity omega is required to solve it. Here you require two variables VCM and omega. Here omega is sufficient. Let us see how. So every combined motion can be converted into purely rotational motion. Let us see how. So seeing a body a combined motion or purely rotational motion is your choice. Only thing is that once you convert it into purely rotational motion, your equations, your formulas, your solution of the problem becomes easy. Let us see how. So we are coming to instantaneous axis of rotation, also called IAOR. Before I come to instantaneous axis of rotation, we are going to have how it comes. Suppose I have a disk. This is a disk. Suppose this is a disk, and imagine that and suppose this disk is rotating about its axis, this axis like this. So this disk is rotating about this axis like this. Imagine that this is rotating like this. Can I get the speed? Can I get the velocity of different points? Yes, I can get easily. There are many circles on this disk. And I can get the velocities of various points on this disk. Easily I can get. Take any line here. Take any diameter here. Can I say, if this is omega, suppose this is omega, this is rotating with omega, can I say that velocity of this point would be in this direction, tangentially, and its magnitude would be equal to proportional to distance from here. If radius is r, this velocity would be equal to omega into r. If this radius is r, this velocity would be omega into r. Yes, I can say. On the same line, if I take point here, this velocity would be slightly smaller. I can say that this velocity, if this radius is r and this distance is suppose from here to here, distance is suppose x, this is v is equal to omega into x. If suppose I take a point below at a distance y, the velocity of this point would be backwards. Tangentially means what? This is rotating clockwise. Tangentially means backwards. And what is the magnitude of this? Omega into y. Can I say that the length of this is perpendicular to radius? diameter, this is perpendicular, this magnitude is perpendicular and length is proportional to distance. In that case, you can apply a similar triangle rule. If I join the tail of all the velocity vectors, if I join the tail of all the velocity vectors, see this velocity and this velocity, this point's velocity, this point velocity and this point velocity, they are either parallel or they are anti-parallel. Understand, these two are mutually parallel and they are anti-parallel with this. This velocity and this velocity is parallel and this is anti-parallel with this. If I join the head of these vectors, and if I join the tail of these vectors, this vector and this, there are three vectors. If I join the head of all these vectors and tail of all these vectors, this line, the line joining head of these two vectors and the line joining the head of these vectors and tail of these vectors intersect at point that is the axis of rotation. The line joining the head of all the vectors and the line joining the tail of all the vectors intersect at the point that is the pure axis of rotation. I can reverse it. If in any body I know, because of anything, if I know the velocity of any 2 points in the body, if in a rigid body I know the velocity of any 2 points which are mutually perpendicular, which are mutually parallel or anti-parallel, I know the velocity of this and this. Suppose reverse is true. I have been given the velocity of this point P and this point Q. I have been given the velocity of this and this. I have to find axis. How to get? Join their head and join their tails. Join their head and join their tail, they would meet at axis. If I have been given this velocity omega x and omega y, how to get? Join their heads, join their tails, they intersect here. So understand first rule. How to find instantaneous axis of rotation? How to find if any two parallel or anti-parallel velocities are known. This is simple rule of similar triangle. If any 2 points whose velocities are parallel or anti-parallel are known, then join their heads and tails. Join their heads and join their tails. They meet at, these two lines meet at pure axis of rotation. Understand the meaning of that. Suppose we are doing the reverse case. In the rolling case, what we got? This velocity was 2 VCM. This velocity is VCM. Suppose these two are known. What would we do? We would join these two and then meet here. The line joining the tail of these two vectors and the line joining the head of these two vectors meet here, and this is the instantaneous axis of rotation. And we know that this was the true case. For any case we can get. Understand, the line joining their tail must be perpendicular to the tail. It is always perpendicular to the tail. It comes out to be perpendicular to the tail. So let us illustrate it. Any problem in the conceptual part, how to get instantaneous axis of rotation? Because we are going to deal some questions, how to get it. This is just a view of understanding. If in any axis, if I rotate this like this about this point, if I rotate about this point, every point would be moving the circular path. So if I know any 2 parallel or anti-parallel velocities, then I can get the pure axis of rotation. Understand how. And once you get instantaneous axis, you can get anything. Understand how. I am taking the illustration for this. First of all, I want to know I have a rod like this. Mass M, length L. It's given that this end of the rod have velocity, this end of the rod have velocity v naught, and this end have velocity v naught by 2. This end have velocity v naught, this end have velocity v naught, and this end have velocity v naught by 2. Means both the ends have different velocity. This end is have velocity v naught and this has v naught by 2. Question is, what is the angular velocity of the rod? What is the kinetic energy of this rod? Where is the instantaneous axis of rotation? What is the speed of the center of mass? Anything. So what you are going to do is that, first of all, in this rod falls in your first case, where you know any two parallel velocities, this and this. There are 2 points whose velocities are known and they are parallel. So what you have to do is that join their tails and join their heads. Join their tails and join their heads. They meet here. This is the instantaneous axis of rotation. Means about this axis is purely rotational motion. About this axis, this rod is in purely rotational motion. Actually, the motion of this rod is similar to rotation about this axis. The rotation of, if I complete rod from here to here, if I put a rod from here to here complete, from this IAOR to this end, and I rotate this rod, and later on, keeping this motion same, I cut this half. I make this half invisible. From here to here, I am taking the rod out without changing the motion of this. Then still this rod, right half, is the part of the same motion. This rod is still the part of the same motion. This rod is in rotational motion. So this rod is the part of same motion. Actually, this is rod from here to here, and this rod was rotating, but this rod from here to here, this left part is invisible or taken out without affecting the change of this. So this motion remains as it is when it was in the motion of complete rod. That is why its axis is located here. So let us see. Suppose this is the instantaneous axis of rotation. Now question is how to get where it is located. Suppose this distance is x. Suppose IAOR to this end, this distance is x. This length is L. So what would you get? First of all, if this is omega, then velocity of any point is omega into distance from this axis. So what would be V naught by 2? V naught by 2 would be equal to omega into x. V naught by 2 would be equal to, because from this axis, the distance of this point is x. Omega into x is V naught by 2. And what about this? V naught would be equal to, what is the distance of this point from this axis? X plus L. Understand? From here to here x, here to here L. So distance of this point from this axis is x plus L. Divide the two. You would get this by this, 1 by 2 is equal to x by x plus L. That means x is equal to L. Where is the instantaneous axis located? It is located L distance left of the left end. L distance left of the left end. Instantaneous axis of rotation is located L distance left of the left end. First thing. Once you get L, you get omega also. Put here x equal to L. What would be your omega? Your omega would be equal to, put x equal to L here. You have got L. Put x equal to L here. V naught by 2L. So you got omega is V naught by 2L. Now any point on this rod whose speed you want to calculate, you can directly get. How? If you want to get speed of center of mass, how to get speed of center of mass? Velocity of center of mass. What is the distance of the center of mass from this? Multiply it with what? Omega. So speed of any point, if you are located here, if you want to get velocity of this point would be omega times of distance of this point from instantaneous axis, perpendicular. So in case of center of mass, your VCM would be equal to omega into x plus L by 2. See, from here to here x, here to here L by 2. So x plus L by 2. What is that value? X plus L by 2 means L plus L by 2, 3L by 2. Omega into 3L by 2. But you know that omega is V naught by 2L. Omega is V naught by 2L. So this becomes 3 V naught by 4. This becomes 3 V naught by 4. So midpoint of these two have, because this velocity is varying linearly, you can get in any way. Now suppose I have been asked, what is the kinetic energy of this rod? What is the kinetic energy of this rod? Now I have two methods and both are going to give me equal answer. If I want to know what is the kinetic energy of this rod, so I am trying to calculate the kinetic energy of this rod. First method is superimposition. Half m VCM square means I have got 3 V naught by 4 whole square plus half ICM, because I have taken VCM here is a two-step process, superimposition. I have taken ICM. ICM is ml square by 12 into omega square means V naught square by 4L square. So in that case you are going to get 9 m V naught square by 32 plus m V naught square by 24 into 4, I think 96. So that would become equal to, I think this is 3 times, so 27, 28 m V naught square by 96, and that is equal to, can it be cancelled by some 4, 7 m V naught square by 24. This is the kinetic energy you obtain when you take superposition. Suppose I want to get in one step. What? Half I about this axis, pure axis into omega square. Half I about this axis into omega square. Then in that case my answer would be, see, in that case my answer would be like this. So kinetic energy in one step is equal to half I about instantaneous axis of rotation into omega square. Because this is purely rotational motion. So half I about this axis into omega. How to get I about this axis? Understand? So how to get I about this axis? I about instantaneous axis of rotation would be equal to ICM. See, I have to get about this. So I would first take an axis parallel to this passing through center of mass and apply parallel axis theorem. So that would be equal to ICM plus m into x plus L by 2 square. That would be equal to ml square by 12 about this axis plus m into 3L by 2 whole square, and that would be equal to ml square by 12 plus 9 ml square by 4, and that is equal to, what is this, 4 3 27 28 by 12 ml square. Place it here, 28 by 12 ml square into omega square means 9 V naught square by 16. So what you are going to get is, I think you would get, cancel karo isko, this and this is cancelled, 3 and 4, and this and this is cancelled, 7. Just a minute. ml square by 12 plus m into 3L by 2 whole square, that means ml square by 12 plus 9 ml square by 4, 9 12 1 plus 27 28 by 12 ml square, correct? हाँ ठीक है. So in that case I am going to get, okay, I have to put omega here na, half I about instantaneous axis of rotation into omega square in one step process. That would become half I have got 28 by 12 ml square, omega I have got V naught by 2L, V naught square by 4L square. So what would I get? L square and L square is cancelled. I would get 28 by 96. What is 28 by 96? I would be getting here 28 by 96 times of mv naught square. Is it same? Is it same? Kinetic energy here I have got 7 by 24. Is it 7 by 24? Yes, this is 7 by 24 mv naught square. 7 by 24, same value. Now understand how this velocity was obtained. Go to history of this rod. I have given you that this rod have two ends. One end have velocity v naught by 2 and one end have velocity v naught. I am going into history of that. What was happening to this rod before this time? Actually, this rod was falling. This rod was falling like this. This rod was translationally falling like this with speed v naught. But it hits two rubber pads. There are two rubber pads on which it falls. So this rod was falling like this, and while falling, this rod met. While falling, this rod landed here. This rod have velocity v naught, but this rod fall on one rubber pad here, other rubber pad here. The two rubber pads or something where collision takes place. So this came with a velocity v naught and collided with these two. During collision, the coefficient of restitution here was half. For this collision, E was half, coefficient of restitution, and here it was elastic collision, E was 1. So at this point, velocity of separation is E times the velocity of approach. That means at this point, this velocity v naught, downward velocity v naught, became upward velocity v naught. And at this point, velocity of separation, at this point, left point, velocity of separation is E times the velocity of approach. That means the incident velocity v naught becomes v naught by 2. That is why it is started to rotate now and translate both. Okay. Now, suppose question is asked in different manner. So this we have taken parallel case. Suppose we have a question like this. And how we use that? You have to understand how we use that. Suppose we have a rod like this, and this is a rod. This velocity is v naught right. This is v naught left. Where is the instantaneous axis located? Where is the instantaneous? About which point it is purely rotational motion? Now they are in our first case. In our first case, we have taken if two velocities which are parallel or anti-parallel are known. So join their foot, join their head. They meet here, and this is the instantaneous. About this point, it is purely rotational motion. About this point is purely rotational. Even if the center mass, in this case, they are purely rotational motion, and it should be because the two velocities are anti-parallel, but process is same. Suppose question is like this. This velocity is v naught. This is v naught by 2. Where the instantaneous axis located? I know that if I join these two tails and these two heads, they would meet here. So this is, and I can calculate because these are this triangle and this triangle are similar triangle. So ratio of these two is 2. This by this is 2. So this by this length is 2. So this is 2L by 3 and this is L by 3. This triangle and this triangle are similar. So perpendicular, this by this length should be equal to this by this length. So L by 3 and 2L by 3. You can get omega. This is the purely axis of rotation. This axis is the axis of rotation. Pure axis of rotation. So this is rotating with omega. You can get value of omega. You know omega into 2L by 3 is V naught. or you can write omega into L by 3 because this is the pure axis of rotation. So omega into L by 3, that is equal to V naught by 2. In both the cases you can get the value of omega, that is same. Omega would be equal to 3 V naught by 12. What is 3 V naught by 12? You can get 3 V naught by 12. Once you get omega, you can get the speed of any point. Now question is, what is the speed of center of mass? What is speed of center of mass here? Now you can get that here to here distance is what? Here to here distance is what? L by 2. And here to here total distance is 2L by 3. So what is the distance of center of mass from the axis of rotation? VCM would be equal to omega into distance of center of mass from axis of rotation. What is distance of center of mass from axis of rotation? So omega is 3 V naught by 2L and distance of the center of mass from axis of rotation is 2L by 3 minus L by 2. From here to here axis, from topmost point to axis distance is 2L by 3. From topmost point to center of mass L by 2. So subtract it, you would get the value of center of mass. Okay, you can get that all these velocities are following a linear fashion. Okay, now where it is useful and how we solve the question easily using that. So understand, whenever I have taken the first case of finding instantaneous axis, whenever any 2 points whose velocities are mutually parallel or anti-parallel is known. Whenever any 2 velocity points whose velocities are parallel or anti-parallel are known, you can get its axis of rotation, and after that you can get any point's velocity. For example, if I tell you that I've thrown a disc, I have spinned a disc and thrown it in air. I have spinned a ball and thrown it in air, and the ball has velocity like this. This point have velocity V naught, right? This point have velocity 2 V naught, right? And this bottommost point have velocity V naught left. I have to find what is the axis of rotation, about which axis it is rotating. About which axis it is rotating. So what I am going to do is that join these 2 points. Join these 2 points. They meet here, and this is the axis of rotation. Call it omega. Call it omega. So you can get this whole distance was 2r. This whole distance is the diameter 2r. I have to divide it into 2 ratio, which one ratio is upper part and one is the lower part. This and this ratio should be 2:1. This 2r diameter have to be divided in the ratio of 2:1. So this would be 2r by 3 and this distance would be r by 3. Now I can get omega because V naught would be equal to omega times of r by 3. V naught would be equal to omega times of r by 3. I can get omega. And after that I can get the speed of center of mass. If I want to get what is the total kinetic energy of this disk. First of all, from here distance is suppose r by 3 and from here distance is 2r by 3. Then I can write 2 V naught is equal to 2r by 3 into omega, or V naught is equal to r by 3 omega. Understand, in this case I have only to get one unknown, omega. If I get omega, I can get anything. So I can get in both the ways. Omega I would be getting 3 V naught by r. Omega I am going to get 3 V naught by r. Suppose I have been asked what is the velocity of center of mass. I can get it because from here to here distance is 2r by 3 and from here to center distance is r. So this would be 2r minus r by 3. I can get VCM also. If question is asked, find the kinetic energy of. So what is the distance between instantaneous axis and center of mass? What is the distance between instantaneous axis and center of mass? Center of mass to instantaneous axis is 2r by 3 minus r by 2. 2r by 3 minus r by 2. So what is 2r by 3 minus r by 2? And that is equal to 6. 4 minus 3, r by 6. So this is r by 6. Suppose I have been asked question here, what is the kinetic energy of this disk? What is the kinetic energy of this disk? I can get in one step. What is? I can write half I about instantaneous axis of rotation, half I about instantaneous axis of rotation into omega square. No VCM is required. So I would be writing its kinetic energy as, I can write it, kinetic energy is equal to half I about instantaneous axis. How to get? ICM plus m r by 6 square. ICM plus, the distance is r by 6. So mr square by 2 plus m r by 6 square into omega square, means from here you have got omega 3 v naught by r whole square. This is the total kinetic energy. This is the total kinetic energy. If you are asked, what is the speed of this point? What is the speed of this point? Net speed. Or any point on this disk. Just join this point. Just join this point from this axis. Let this distance be x. If you can know this distance, join this point from here to here. Call this x. Then multiply it with omega. Velocity would be omega into x. Perpendicular to this. This you can obtain in two ways. One is directly from instantaneous axis, distance from instantaneous axis into omega. This is the net velocity. Otherwise, find VCM, find omega r, about this omega into distance from the center of mass, take their vector sum. You will get the same value. Or else you can get in one step. So this was the first step. First, when we know two points, because of constant motion or something, we know 2 points whose velocities are either parallel or anti-parallel. Then in that case, we can get all the quantities. Second, if we know two velocities which are neither parallel nor anti-parallel, either velocities are parallel or anti-parallel, parallel or anti-parallel, two velocities, or they are not parallel, they are not in parallel lines, they are inclined, they intersect somewhere. How to get instantaneous axis? So our case 2 is this. Any doubt here? Second case, case 2. If two non-parallel velocities, two non-parallel velocities are known. Again we are coming to the same. What we are going to do? First, from the known axis, we will get velocity and we would reverse the process so that we do not have to memorize the things. We have to understand the things. So suppose I have a disk. And this disk is rotating about this with omega. So there are many circles with different radii, and the particles lying on these circles are going on the circular path like this. Now understand, suppose I take any 2 points not on the same diameter. I take one point here, where I take suppose 1 point here, and I take suppose 1 point. So what is the velocity at this point? Would the velocity at this point be tangential like this? Yes, because this is rotational motion. So from this point, this is tangential like this, V1 vector. Take another point. Suppose I take point here. Suppose I take a point here. Would this velocity be perpendicular to this radius? and its magnitude would be v2. This is v1 is equal to omega into x1. This is v2 is equal to omega into x2. That is, x2 is simply distance of the radius, but this v2 would be omega into x2. Now these two velocities are not parallel because they are not lying on the same diameter, because velocity is perpendicular to radius vector. Now suppose reverse case is there. I have been given this velocity, I have been given this velocity and this velocity, and nothing is given. I have been given two velocities, this and this is given. I don't know where axis is, I don't know where axis is, but I know two velocities. Can I say, if I drop a perpendicular to the foot of this rod, if I drop a perpendicular to the foot of this rod, this velocity vector, at the starting point, tail of this velocity vector, if I drop a perpendicular, it would pass through center. It should pass, because this velocity perpendicular to velocity, it passes through center. Similarly, if I drop a perpendicular on this velocity vector, if I drop a perpendicular on the tail of this velocity vector should also pass through center. This is the instantaneous axis. That means, whenever you know any two non-parallel velocities, of the body, on the entire body, if you know any 2 points whose velocities are, direction is known, and they are not parallel, drop a perpendicular on this, drop a perpendicular on the tail of this, and drop a perpendicular on the tail of this. Wherever they meet, this is the instantaneous axis of rotation. About this axis, it was purely rotational motion. About this axis, it is purely rotational motion. In fact, this velocity v1 would be equal to omega. This velocity v1 would be equal to omega times of distance from here, from this axis, x1. And this velocity v2 would be equal to omega times of distance from this axis, x2, omega into x2. So understand, drop the perpendicular and get instantaneous axis. For example, any doubt here? Take the disc. In the case of rolling disc, we have got. So let us verify that is coming or not. This velocity was here. You remember, this velocity was here, 2 VCM. And this velocity was here, root 2 VCM, at an angle of 45 degree. Anyway, this magnitude do not matter. This magnitude in this case do not matter. Only direction matter. These two are non-parallel velocities. I know this, the bottommost point was the instantaneous axis of rotation. I know that bottommost point was the instantaneous axis of rotation. So what I am going to do is that, because two non-parallel velocities are known, this is in second case. In first case, two parallel or two anti-parallel velocities were known. But here, two non-parallel velocities are known. So drop a perpendicular here. Drop a perpendicular here. And drop a perpendicular here. Would they meet here or not? Drop a perpendicular to the foot of the starting point, the tail of this vector and this vector, they would meet here, and this would be instantaneous axis of rotation. Let us see more illustrations. देखो, and remember, in these cases you can always write the total kinetic energy is equal to simply half I about instantaneous axis of rotation into omega square. No need of taking two components, adding them. Okay, suppose I have a rod. Suppose so this is smooth wall, So this is smooth wall. This is smooth rod. This is smooth ground. And this is a smooth ground. A smooth rod, ground, and a smooth this. Okay. Now suppose, what I am trying to do is that, suppose a rod is placed here. A rod is placed here in contact, and due to slight disturbance, it begins to slip and fall. Due to slight disturbance, it begins to slip and fall. So initially a rod was placed here. And finally it begins to slip. While slipping, at some moment of time, suppose the rod is like this. While slipping, the rod is like this. So while slipping against this, the rod is like this. Suppose this angle is theta. Instantaneous angle is theta. So this is slipping rod. So rod, I can write here vertical rod starts slipping. Question is, at the moment this rod is making angle theta, find the angular speed and speed of center of mass of this rod. Question is, when this rod is making instantaneous angle theta, at that time, what is the speed of the center of mass, speed of this end, and angular velocity and kinetic energy, many things. How to get it? First of all, we have to analyze that because in this motion, is the center of mass moving or not? Yes, center of mass is moving. Why? Earlier center of mass was here at the midpoint, and now center of mass is not here. Earlier when the rod was vertical, center of mass was here, somewhere here. But now center of mass is here. So center of mass will change its location. If center of mass will change its location, that information is sufficient that there is translational motion. So there is translational motion, no doubt, because center of mass is not at rest permanently. Second, is there rotational motion? Is the rod changing its orientation about any axis? Is any line joined in the rod, made inside the rod, changing its angle with any axis? Yes, it was making 90 degree with x-axis initially, and now it is making theta. That means it is rotational. Both things are there. Center of mass is not at rest, so translational, and because it is changing orientation, so it is rotational. So I have two ways of looking at this. First is that I say that the center of mass is moving somewhere. And it is rotating about center of mass. So center of mass is falling, center of mass is moving, and about center of mass it is rotating. Center of mass is moving, and about center of mass it is rotating. Second thing is that why not convert it into purely rotational motion? Because if I want to find by center of mass, I have two unknowns. One is VCM, that I don't know, neither magnitude nor direction. VCM I don't know, omega I don't know. But once I convert it into purely rotational motion, it becomes simple question of finding only omega, and that I can find in one step. Let us see how. In this entire rod, do we know velocity of any 2 points? In this entire rod, do we know the direction of velocity of any 2 points? Yes, we know, because this is constant motion. This end can only move downward. This is constant to move downward. And this end can only move leftward. This end, call this end as P and this end as Q. If this is V1, this is V2. Any problem? Because it is in contact with the wall, this end is constrained to move, is compelled to move in downward direction, and this end is compelled to move in the leftward direction. So I got 2 points whose velocities I know. That is sufficient for me to solve any question. Now what I do is that, because this fits our second case. In our first case, two velocities were parallel or anti-parallel. Here the two velocities are not parallel. So what you do? Drop a perpendicular at this foot, at this tail, drop a normal at this tail, let them intersect. So once I draw it, it becomes like this. If I drop a perpendicular here, if I drop a perpendicular to this velocity, it becomes like this. And if I drop a perpendicular here, it becomes like this. Drop a perpendicular here, drop a normal here, and drop a normal here. They meet here. This is the instantaneous axis of rotation, and this is your angular velocity. Omega. That means understand what is happening. It seems, it behaves as if this rod is connected by two threads here and here. The two threads, understand. This is a thread and this is a thread. This rod is connected by one thread here and one thread here. And about this axis it is swinging. Consider that from here to here there is a thread, and from here to here there is a thread connected to the two ends. And here is the axis. And about this thread and this thread, about this end, it is swinging like this. So this is pure axis of rotation. This is pure axis of rotation. How to get omega? Simple. Apply work energy theorem. Means what? Tell me in this entire process, which forces were acting on this rod? From here there was a force acting continuously. What was that? N2. Normal from this wall. Ground N1. One normal here because it's smooth, friction is not there. N1 here, N2 here, Mg here. Three forces are acting. Work is defined as force dot displacement of point of application of force. Work is defined as force dot dr. Dr vector is the displacement of point of application of force. Now understand, here normally acting upwards, vertically up, and point of application is always moving horizontally. So dot product of N1 with this is 0. This normal is not doing any work. At this point, normal is always acting horizontal and the point of application moving vertical. The angle between displacement vector and force vector is 90 degree. It is also not doing any work. Who is doing work? Only Mg. And what is the work done by Mg? Initially, the center of mass was at a vertical height of L by 2. Initially, the center of mass was at the vertical height. What is the height of center of mass? L by 2. Now, what is the height of center of mass? L by 2 sine theta. What is L by 2? From here to here, L by 2. The height of center of mass now is L by 2 sine theta. So, work done by gravity only is K final minus K initial. Work energy theorem. Work done by gravity, because work done by N1 and work done by N2 is 0. Work done by gravity is, or loss in potential energy. You can say loss in potential energy if you are comfortable with that. Mg L by 2 into 1 minus sine theta. Why? Because initially height of center of mass was L by 2 and now height is L by 2 sine theta. This is the loss in potential energy. It must be equal to the gain in kinetic energy. The kinetic energy initially is 0. Forget about that. Now kinetic energy final is two types of kinetic energy. One is translational, because VCM is moving, because center of mass is moving with some speed. Half m VCM square plus half ICM omega square. I should write here half m VCM square plus half ICM omega square. But for this I require VCM and omega both. So why not I write it, this combined value as half I about instantaneous axis of rotation into omega square. This is also same, the combined value of these two is obtained in one step in here. But here I require only one variable, and that is omega. Now I know instantaneous axis, I know the moment of inertia about center of mass axis, IAOR. Why? How? Because this is a rectangle, see? This is a rectangle. This is one diagonal. So this is another diagonal passing through center of mass. This is rectangle, this is one diagonal, so this is another diagonal. I know moment of inertia about this. I have to get moment of inertia about this. I have to get the moment of inertia about this axis, which the axis passing through instantaneous axis of rotation. I have to get the moment of inertia about this axis. How to get moment of inertia about this axis? First of all, I have to make an axis parallel to this and passing through center of mass, which I know, ml square by 12. And I know that because this total length was L, this total length is L, so this length is L by 2. This length was L, this diagonal was of length L, so this diagonal is also of length L, so this is L by 2. Once I know this is L by 2, I can get this. I would get I about instantaneous axis of rotation according to parallel axis theorem. I about instantaneous axis of rotation is equal to draw an axis parallel to this and passing through center of mass, this ml square by 12. ICM plus md square means parallel axis theorem, ml square by 12 plus m into distance of this axis and this axis are separated by a distance of L by 2, m into L by 2 square, and that is equal to ml square by 12 plus ml square by 4, and that is equal to ml square by 3. Place it here. Your omega comes. This is half ml square by 3 into omega square. So mg L by 2 into 1 minus sine theta. Mg L by 2 into 1 minus sine theta is equal to half I about instantaneous axis of rotation into omega square. You got omega. If theta is given, you can put else in terms of theta you are getting omega. You got omega. Omega तुम्हारा निकल गया. You can get omega. Once you get omega, you can get anything. What is the speed of this point? Tell me. What is speed of V1 if I know omega? What is the speed of this? V1 is what? Omega into this height. From this axis of rotation, what is the distance of this point? From this, see, speed of velocity of any point is equal to omega into distance from this axis in magnitude. Omega into distance from this axis in magnitude, and in terms of direction, it is perpendicular. So what is speed of this point? From this point, what is this height? L sine theta. So V1 is equal to omega into L sine theta. Agreed? V1 is equal to omega into, from here to here distance is L sine theta. V2 is equal to this V2. What is V2 equal to? V2 is equal to omega into distance from this point. What is the distance from this point? Omega into L cos theta. Getting or not? Perpendicular. So यहाँ से, from here if you take, it is perpendicular, means downward. From here if you take, perpendicular means leftward. But from here if you take, again perpendicular. So what is VCM? VCM would be equal to, understand, what is VCM? Center of mass. What is the distance of center of mass from this axis? Omega L by 2. Omega into L by 2. The distance of center of mass from this axis is omega into L by 2. And perpendicular to this. This perpendicular may not be along the rod. Why? Because this is not a square. This is a rectangle. So perpendicular to this diagonal may not be lying on another diagonal. But yes, magnitude is omega L by 2. If now I ask, what is the relationship between V1, V2 and VCM? What is the relation between V1, speed of this point, speed of this point, and speed of center of mass? Then I can eliminate omega L. How? If I square these two and add, I would get V1 square plus V2 square. V1 square plus V2 square is omega square L square common. Sin square theta plus cos square theta is 1. Sin square theta plus cos square theta is 1. So if I square these two, I would be getting V1 square plus V2 square. I would be getting V1 square plus V2 square is equal to V1 square plus V2 square is equal to omega square L square. But what is omega square L square from here? From third equation, omega square L square is 4 VCM square. That means VCM is equal to, understand, under root of V1 square plus V2 square by 2. Getting? V1 square is equal to V1, because see there we have three equations, this and this. If this is omega here, I can get omega into L cos theta is V2, omega into L sin theta is V1, and VCM is equal to omega into L by 2. If I square these two, I would be getting V1 square plus V2 square is omega square L square, and omega square L square from here is equal to what? Omega square L square from here is equal to 4 VCM square. So VCM is under, if I know this velocity and center of mass velocity, out of V1, V2 and VCM, I can get the, if I know any two, I can get the rest three. I can get the third. So I can get here. So this is the way I have done it. So this is our second case. More illustrations in second case. Any doubt here? More illustrations in second case. You can get why the rod should be, why the wall and ground should be perpendicular. It can be at any angle possible. Like we can have questions like this. We can have questions like this. And which are questions I am telling you they have been asked or they would be asked. So calculating omega is easier than getting VCM and omega both. Suppose you have a question like this. You have a question like this. Okay. Okay. This is a fixed hemisphere. Fixed hemisphere. Okay. And here there is a rod line. And here there is a rod line. And this end is going with speed V. V0. You have to find, some geometry is given, some angles are given proper way. You have to find the angular velocity of this rod. You have to get the angular velocity of this rod, or if I ask you what is the kinetic energy of this rod, what is the kinetic energy of this rod? Now understand, you know that velocity of this point is V0, right? And you know that the velocity of this point is in this direction. In this direction. Because this is the tangent. It cannot move perpendicular to this. It has to move along the tangent. Because this is like inclined plane. You cannot fly in the inclined plane. You have to move along the inclined plane only. So you know two velocities. This is V0. This is say V. Drop a perpendicular here. And drop a perpendicular here. And let them meet somewhere. And let them meet somewhere. Drop the perpendicular here. And drop the perpendicular here. And let them meet here. This is your pure axis of rotation. If you want to know its kinetic energy, you have to apply some geometry or some conditions are given in the question. Take one very good question. Suppose I have a question like this. This is a rod. This is a rod. And this rod is placed on a smooth ground, a smooth surface. This is a smooth surface. Mass and length L. Now what happens? You left it. You left it and began to fall. Once you leave it, it will begin to fall. Okay? Once it begins to fall, what happens? Once it begins to fall, it begins to fall. Once it begins to fall, it would say at certain moment of time it looks like this. At certain moment of time, it may look like this. Which like this? It may look like this. While falling, at some instant of time, it would be like this. Now question is, so it's a rod that begins to fall. First of all, I have to prove that its center of mass moves on the straight line. Why? Because in the entire process, only two forces were acting. Which are the two forces? One is the weight. In this process, on this rod, only two forces are acting. Which are the two forces? One is mg, that is weight, that acts on the center of mass. And one is the normal from here. Any more force? No. Friction is not there. Smooth surface is there. So only two forces act, mg and normal. Mg downward on the center of mass, normal upward at the lower point of contact. I don't know which is more, which is less. But one thing is guaranteed. Mg have no component in the horizontal direction and normal have no component in the horizontal direction. That is for sure. Mg and normal have no component in the horizontal direction. So one thing is guaranteed, Fx is 0. X direction में force 0 है. Because Fx is 0, one thing is guaranteed. The center of mass acceleration along x direction is 0. Guaranteed. Because center of mass initially at rest. Center of mass may accelerate downward, but it would not have any motion left or rightward. That means center of mass do not move because center of mass was initially at rest. Because initial velocity of center of mass was 0 and along x direction it remains 0. That means center of mass do not have any horizontal motion. Who would create? Initially horizontal motion of center of mass was 0. Who would create it? Then no one to create. This cannot provide any component rightward. Any question, Rohit? There is no component left and right. That means center of mass moves in a straight line. That means this center of mass, trajectory of center of mass is straight line. That means how it falls, understand. Once it was placed like this, it begins to fall. But the center of mass is always falling on the straight line, and finally when it hits the ground at the midpoint. When it hits the ground, it hits like this. Half left, half right, and midpoint here. Because center of mass moves on the straight line downward. So finally when it collides, its center of mass lies to the starting points down. So therefore left half and left right, it collides. Anyway, so that is center of mass moves the straight line. Now again you got the case. What you got the case? Suppose this angle is theta. You know the velocity of 2 points. At any moment of time, you know the velocity of 2 points. Which 2 points? Understand. You know the velocity of 2 points. And which 2 points? Understand. One velocity you know. That center of mass has velocity downward. Center of mass has velocity downward. That you know. This velocity is always downward. And this velocity is always leftward because this is on the ground. Again you know 2 points, any 2 points, whose velocity are not parallel. So you can get instantaneous axis here also. Because if I drop a perpendicular here and if I drop a perpendicular here, they meet here. And this is your instantaneous axis of rotation. Again I can do the same thing. In this whole process, normal is not doing any work, only work is done by gravity. So I can write here. I can write mg. Initially center of mass was at the height of L by 2 and now center of mass is at the height of L by 2 sin theta. So mg L by 2 into 1 minus sin theta. That must be equal to half moment of inertia about this axis into omega square. How to get moment of inertia about this axis? I know moment of inertia about center of mass axis. I know moment of inertia about center of mass axis. What is that? ml square by 12. I would write ml square by 12. Plus, I know this direction. I know this. If this angle is theta, this is L by 2 cos theta. This is L by 2 plus m into L by parallel axis theorem, m into L by 2 cos theta whole square into omega square, half I about instantaneous axis of rotation into omega square. I would get omega. Now, I am not solving this question because this is not a regular class. In regular class, everything takes too much time to take. If I would have been taking this class in regular class, for one case of velocity not parallel, anti-parallel, it would take one class of 1.5 hours complete. So this instantaneous axis is going to go for 5 to 6 classes. So, but this is not the regular class. I am just giving you that these are the methods by which we can get it. Okay. So once you get omega here, you can get, because once you get omega here, you can get this speed omega into this distance L by 2 sin theta. You can get velocity of center mass omega into L by 2 cos theta, and you can get its kinetic energy total mg L by 2 into 1 minus sin theta. You can get it. Okay. Now, this is our second case. There are many such cases, many illustrations. Based on every case, there is a DPP that you should solve, you should practice, provided you have sufficient amount of time. Okay. Now, third case, you have taken two cases, parallel, anti-parallel, second, non-parallel. And third case is of finding instantaneous axis is that if you know VCM and omega. If you know VCM. So, third case, I am going to find how to get instantaneous axis. So let us see the third case. Let us see the third case where you can get the instantaneous axis of rotation. Third case, if VCM and omega are known, find point where VCM and omega are cancelled out. Means it is at rest. Understand? Suppose I have a rod. This rod's center mass velocity is given to me, VCM. That is V0. VCM is V0. Okay. So VCM is V0. And it is given that this is rotating with angular speed omega. And this omega is going to be equal to 3 V0 by L. What is 3 V0 by L? L is the length of this rod. You have to locate the instantaneous axis of rotation. So understand, in this case what we are going to do is that take this rod. We have to find the point which is at rest. So this point would have velocity V0 due to translational. This point would have velocity V0 due to translational. And this point would have velocity due to translational. Due to translation, every point would have same velocity V0. Now come to omega r, purely rotational motion. For purely rotational motion, any point above this would have omega into r forward, because this is clockwise. Any point above this would have omega into r forward. Any point below this would have omega into r backward. So to cancel, to make effect 0, we have to locate the point downward, because above they are added, they cannot be 0. So let us go to a distance x here. Below center of mass. Then according to purely rotational motion, this point would have a rotational contribution omega into x. Let them cancel. If this is 0, make this to be 0. That means what? V0, first of all, that point where velocity is 0 cannot be located above this. It will be located below this, because it is clockwise. So velocity V0 and omega r must be anti-parallel, opposite direction. It is below. Second, distance is x. So V0 minus omega into x should be 0. So V0 is equal to, omega was what? 3 v naught by L into x. So x is equal to L by 3. Instantaneous axis of rotation is located L by 3 distance below the center of mass. So your instantaneous axis is located below this center of mass. So your instantaneous axis is here. Understand? Your instantaneous axis would be located here. From here it is below. So this is the point which is the pure axis of rotation. Understand? This method is particularly useful post collision. Whenever a rod is there and bullet hits it, or you give some jerk impulse, so it begins to rotate and translate both. Whenever there is collision taking place between rod and a bullet, or between two rods, after collision it starts to rotate and translate both. But once after collision it begins to rotate and translate, there is a point in the rod which remains at rest. That is called center of percussion. There is center of percussion. So if I hold a bat and hit some ball, I feel the jerk in my hand. But if I hold at the center of percussion and then collision takes place, there is no force on my hand. There is no jerk, no stress on my hand. And that point is called center of percussion. We would see later on when we see collision. So this is L by 3. So that means about this is purely rotational motion. Now, once you know this is purely rotational motion, you can get speed of any point. Understand? Any point above this, according to this diagram, any point above this would have velocity forward, and any point below this would have velocity backward. Net velocity backward. You can get velocity of any point. And get the velocity. This is the instantaneous axis of rotation. Not only for rod, even for disc and hollow sphere, if you have been given V, Cm and omega, you can get it. Always. So there are only 3 cases where you have to find instantaneous axis of rotation. There are only 3 cases where you have to get instantaneous axis of rotation. And once you get this, you can get velocity of any point. You can get the speed, you can get the trajectory, many things you can calculate. Rotation in the chapter that amalgamates the entire mechanics. पूरे mechanics को entirely ले लेता है, ठीक है? So this is the thing. This is the thing. So now what we have to do is that what we are left with means today I thought that I would complete it in very fast manner, but I could not. I thought that within 1 hour I would complete this instantaneous axis of rotation, but I took more time. Okay, so in next class we are going to study rolling motion. Okay, before rolling motion, before the accelerated rolling motion, I want to ask you one point, that suppose there is a rod. Any doubt here? Suppose I have a rod here. This is top view. This is a rod placed on the smooth ground. Smooth. This is the rod placed on smooth table. Okay. Mass m, length L. And suppose I pull it by a force F0 here. I want to know its angular acceleration. I want to know its angular acceleration. What is the acceleration by which it rotates? Angular acceleration. So, first of all, if I want to know its center of mass acceleration, I would get ACM is equal to F0 by m, because net force is equal to mass into acceleration of center of mass. So, center of mass acceleration I can get. Now if I want to know its torque equation, I want to write torque equation. Why should I go for center mass axis? Why should not I go for the lowermost axis? Can I find torque about this point or torque about this point? Take a point A, bottom end of the rod. Why should I take torque about center mass? That is easier. Basically, that is easier. Let us explain you why I am going to do. I have two ways. First of all, acceleration of center of mass is this, and let us suppose this angle is alpha. Angular acceleration is alpha. Rohit, you have any doubt to ask? Rohit? So from here, I can find torque about point A also or torque about center of mass also. But whenever free axis is there, free axis means there is no hinge. I always prefer center of mass axis. Why? Because I want to avoid a difficult calculation. In rotation, everywhere you have the choice of difficult method and easy method. And you have to understand what is easy method and why it is easy method. Understand. I am taking torque about center of mass. I am taking torque about center of mass axis. Is center of mass accelerated frame? Is center of mass accelerated frame? Yes, it is accelerated frame because center of mass of acceleration ACM. So this center of mass frame is a non-inertial frame. This center of mass frame is a non-inertial frame. So once I want to know, because I am taking from center of mass axis and myself is accelerated by what? ACM. The observer himself is accelerated with ACM. He has to take a pseudo force. He has to take a pseudo force. What is the pseudo force? Pseudo force on this particle is M1 into ACM left. Pseudo force on this particle is M2 into ACM left. Pseudo force on this particle M3 into ACM left. Pseudo force on this particle M4 into ACM left. Similarly, M1 into G, M2 into G, G is same. Similarly here, ACM, pseudo acceleration. Here all forces are same. So center of pseudo force coincides on center of mass. So when this person takes the FBD, this person have to take a pseudo force here. What is that? M into ACM. Pseudo force always acts on the center of mass of the body. Understand it very clearly. Pseudo force always acts on center of mass of the body. So ये इस पे act करेगा. Because observer himself have acceleration ACM, so pseudo force acts ACM. Other forces are what? F naught here. Okay now, two forces. One is the real force, one is the pseudo force. But good thing is that about this center of mass axis, this pseudo force have no torque. So your calculation becomes easier. Because pseudo force always passes through center of mass. So about this center of mass axis, this pseudo force have no torque. That means you can write torque about center of mass axis is torque of this pseudo force is 0. Only about center of mass axis, rest all axis, it would give a pseudo force. And if I take that pseudo force, I will get the same value. Answer is same, but difficulty is not same. I'll prove it. So in this case, what would you write? You would write F naught into L by 2. Okay now? F naught into L by 2. Torque about center of mass axis. F naught into L by 2 is equal to ICM ml square by 12 into alpha. Torque about center of mass is I center of mass alpha. Okay now? So you are going to get alpha is equal to what? Nikal lo 6 F naught by ml. You got it. Now suppose you do not want to do this. I want to find the torque about bottommost point A. Torque about bottommost point, bottom point A. I want to find the torque about bottom point A. Now tell me, what is the acceleration of the bottommost point? What is the acceleration of the bottommost point? One acceleration is due to translational motion. What is ACM? one acceleration is due to translational motion. What is ACM? One acceleration is due to rotational motion backwards. Understand or not? This is clockwise motion. One acceleration is backwards. What is alpha L by 2? What is net acceleration of point A? The net acceleration of point A is rightward, that is equal to ACM minus alpha L by 2. Correct or not? Because these have a superimposition of two acceleration. One is translational ACM and one is rotational alpha L by 2 backward. So ACM minus alpha L by 2. Now what would this person do? What would this person do? This person would say F naught real force, correct? Pseudo force here. What is this pseudo force? M times of acceleration of this person towards right is ACM minus alpha L by 2. This is the pseudo force. And because this is your axis, both would give the torque. This angular acceleration is alpha. So what would I write? I would write about this point, torque is F naught into L. Understand? This F naught is acting at a distance of L from this axis. F naught into L minus torque of this pseudo force, M into ACM minus alpha L by 2. MCM into ACM minus alpha L by 2 is equal to moment inertia over this axis, ml square by 3 into alpha. Let us say answer is same or not. So you are going to get F naught into L minus M into ACM means, what is M into ACM? F naught. Here also, here you have to get L by 2 also, no? Yes, because this is pseudo force and the distance of this pseudo force is L by 2 is equal to ml square by 3 into alpha. Let us see. F naught into L minus M ACM means what? What is meaning of M ACM? F naught into L by 2 plus M alpha L square by 4 is equal to ml square by 3 alpha. Check it. This minus this is what? This minus this is F naught into L by 2. This minus this is what? ml square by 12 into alpha. Na? Are we getting same value? Yes, we are getting same value. Alpha is equal to 6 F naught by ml. Alpha is equal to 6 F naught by ml. But the difficulty level is too high. So always, I would tell you next class, whenever hinge is there, a nail is there, compulsion to rotate a particular axis is there, take that axis. If free axis is there, anyway it can rotate. Anyway it can rotate. It's free to rotate about any axis. It is not hinged. It is free to rotate. Take always about center of mass axis, because in that case you can avoid the torque of pseudo force.